That was completely unnecessary. That's flashbacks. Completely unnecessary. Because look at him. Look at how gorgeous he is on the stage. And I think like there's no need to cut away from this. It's fantastic. Hi everyone, welcome to Old Lady Reacts. I'm the Old Lady, otherwise known as Michelle. I'm a huge movie buff, and this is my channel where I react to mostly action and superhero movies that I've never seen before, but also other stuff that looks interesting or new. I'm in a bit of an Oscar marathon, so it seems fitting to finally watch the Elvis movie. I'm a fan of some of Baz Luhrmann's movies, mostly like the Red Curtain trilogy, Romeo and Juliet, Strictly Ballroom, and Moulin Rouge. And in those three, I really liked that kind of wacky style that he has with jump cuts and zooms and over-the-top melodrama. And I like that he knows, at least in those movies, when to stop it and get real and let like the true emotion carry through. But that doesn't work with every movie he's done or every story. It did not work in the movie Australia, which was supposed to be this like big epic country romance kind of thing. But the wacky camera moves really took me out of the story in this case, and I wanted it to feel more like Out of Africa, but it just felt kind of silly. And I don't love The Great Gatsby story itself anyway. I think it's kind of stupid, and I can't figure out why it's considered such an important book. So it seems unfair to judge his movie when I hate the source material. I mean, the movie visually was pretty cool, but you know, I didn't like it in general. But I am curious if that style is going to be used in this movie. I know a bit about Elvis. I've been to Graceland. I've been to Sun Studios. I grew up listening to old school country, and Elvis was very much kind of on the level with Johnny Cash and all the other artists at the Sun Studio in the early days. I'm not familiar with Austen Butler at all, really. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I guess he's in that, but I have no memory of him in it. So I'm interested in seeing his performance here and if it's Oscar worthy or not. I've only got Colin Farrell to compare him with so far, so hopefully over the next month we'll see more of those performances and get more up to speed on all that. So before we get started, please subscribe so you can see all of my reactions, and check out my Patreon if you're interested in participating in polls to determine what I react to, having early access to videos, and watching full-length reactions. Hop over there and become a patron to support my channel. All right, let's dive into Elvis. That looks very cool. I am like a little fish. I like sparkly things. Life lived in fear is a life outlet. That's from Strictly Ballroom. Interesting. So I'll be interested to see too if I can figure out like what's Elvis and versus what's Austen Butler singing. Okay.
I always knew I was destined for greatness. As an orphan, I ran away to the carnival, where I learned the art.
Is this movie about him or is it about Elvis?
Jesse, Elvis's twin brother, who died at birth.
He was a twin. I did not know he was a twin. Oh, I love her shoes. So they're going to show a little bit about how basically he stole all of his music from the African American sound. Like, yeah, because we all know that. Okay, why is there an electric guitar coming in? It's not quite what that song sounded like, but okay.
She was having feelings she wasn't sure she should enjoy.
They're putting a little bit too fine of a point on it, but okay.
It was the greatest carnival attraction I'd ever seen.
That is interesting though, that you would think of him as like a carnival attraction, not as an artist or a singer, or, you know, it's interesting. I guess I'll have to look up of how much of this is actually considered historically accurate or how much creative license Baz Luhrmann has taken here.
Nothing but nothing. I love you. It's gonna come between us. Wanna bet?
So I think the thing that's missing from this? Like, I've seen a lot of artist biopics, a whole lot. Like, why wouldn't we get to see a scene of the two of them meeting and deciding to work together? Why wouldn't we see a scenes of him coming up, figuring out where the inspiration for certain songs came from? Like, not all of his songs were just like stolen from Beale Street people. Like, it feels very surface level to me, and it feels very much outside looking in. Because it's been almost 27 minutes of this. Like, is this going to come down off of the crazy style so that we can get to sink into the story here? Because
Your future, Mr. Presley, blazing before you. Recording contract.
it all feels very heavy-handed to me. He says the word blazing before you, and like a big burst of fire comes out.
Sam Phillips discovered me.
I know.
Did he? Did Sam Phillips discover Elvis? How? We haven't seen that. Was it just because Elvis like waltzed into Sam Phillips' recording studio? Because we didn't see how Elvis found the inspiration to record an album, or a record, I should say. Okay, so we're already to him buying Graceland? Like, it feels weird.
In my way of thinking, I love Elvis. That's an easy sell. Those who hate your son will do so.
So we'll sell them something too.
Just in fairness.
So I still, let's get, 42 minutes in, or 40 at least. And I'm still waiting for like the craziness to die down so we can actually like see the character of Elvis. Because I feel like all we're seeing is the reaction to Elvis. Like, if this is supposed to be a biopic, it doesn't feel very much to be about Elvis. It feels to be about people's reaction to Elvis. Have we heard more than 2 seconds of any actual Elvis song, it feels like? It just all feels very weird. I could tell really close, obviously, that whoever that actor is not actually singing. Like, we've heard more of this Little Richard song than we have heard of any Elvis music.
You don't do the business will do you.
Man, I just leave all that to the Colonel.
Probably not a good idea, dude.
They're not gonna put you in jail. They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but you a famous white boy.
Yeah.
Things are happening every day.
See, again, I feel like we've heard more of this song than we've heard of any Elvis music. I feel like I'm not saying much because I don't know that I have much to say. Like, I don't feel like I'm seeing any real true like moments that are grounded in any kind of reality. Like, I feel like you can't tell me he's not a little bit high when he's performing these. I mean, Elvis, not Austen Butler, but Elvis, like, he's wearing a lot of mascara too. I'm not sure what, like, I'll have to look to see how accurate that is.
While he was in basic training, she worried and drank. Worried.
It's just, it feels so overproduced. It's such an outside, it feels like such an outside way of telling the story. It just, they feel very much like characters and not like people.
You want to be a dramatic actor?
Well, sir, that's my big ambition now. It takes a lot of time, a lot of experience.
It's like hurting my eyes.
Dr. King, he always spoke the truth.
Every line from him sounds like it's been overdubbed. It's a weird, there's a weird sound mixing thing. Great car. He looks like Johnny Cash.
What do you boys think my career is at right now?
Well, it's in the toilet.
I need you fellas to help me get back to who I really am.
See, now that scene, you can really see how good of an actor he is. That was a very subtle, kind of nuanced scene, especially when he was sitting down. You could see the really cool expressions on his face. They were really, really gorgeous. We should have seen story-wise. I think the problem is the construction here. What we didn't see story-wise is the inception of the idea that the Colonel is the problem. Because clearly he's realized it at this point. But where did that thought first come to him? What was the first thing that inspired that thought? And the progression from him like adoring this guy and doing whatever he wants to, I don't care what the Colonel thinks. That's a big jump that we didn't see. He definitely is carrying off the new look better. Like he definitely looks like he's progressive. I was like, he didn't look like he was aging very much before, but he looks like he's aged here, which is nice. That was a very sexy little bend back there. Yeah. So one of the things that you actually saw in this scene was the progression of like from that scene at the Hollywood sign to this moment of him deciding to do something different in his show. Like this is kind of a big deal, but it's this show. It feels like it fits well somehow. The construction on this segment works, but in the beginning it really didn't.
Okay, now let's segue straight into the whorehouse dances. Go.
The whorehouse what?
Now bring in the Kung Fu Spectacular.
Kung Fu Spectacular? Oh my God. He's gonna have a heart attack. I love it. I'm curious if this actually happened this way or we'll have to see. But it's a good segment. I'm feeling it.
Bobby Kennedy's been shot, everybody!
Oh, like right in the middle of filming. I wonder if it will ever air now then. Did it? I wonder. I think this is the first segment I'm like involved in here.
Colonel, I know when I've excited an audience.
That was not a real audience, my boy. There was a sign flashing applaud, telling them when to clap for you.
Oof.
You have embarrassed the sponsors, you have embarrassed yourself, you have embarrassed me.
Yeah, he's got to get rid of that guy. Get rid of this guy.
It's self-deceptive to conclude from this act.
Still feel like he's got too much mascara on. I'm not sure why they made that choice. Like, I have to look at pictures from back then. Like, did he wear that much mascara? Just like in his regular, like, non-performance self?
Reverend once told me, when things are too dangerous to say, sing.
It's a good life lesson. I like that.
Birds flying higher in a sky.
He has really gorgeous lips, though. I will say that. His lips are so pretty.
Mr. Binder, you and I are on the same page at last.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You had two offers, Germany and Japan, for $1 million for one night. I mean, why the Colonel would turn that down, I have no...
Yeah, why the hell would you turn that down?
No residency. You were never a colonel, never a Tom. You weren't even a Parker.
Oh, can he not go back to Europe? Can he not leave the U.S.? Those glasses, love it.
And the costs cut into the artist's profits. I worry that the financial risk would put a strain on your daddy.
So let's dig into it and see how it actually works, what the money works.
And you just play here for 6 weeks, and then off you go to tour.
6 weeks, and it becomes 6 months and 6 years. Yeah.
All right, boys. On 1, 3.
That was a great segment right there too. Like it has, there's definite. I'm definitely seeing like pieces of it. What I'd love to see is like the evolution of his style choices, because I'm not seeing that. Like we're seeing the after effects of those choices. Like this, but where did that suit come from? Where did that big thick collar come from? Where did those glasses come from? That was completely unnecessary, those flashbacks. Completely unnecessary. Because look at him, look at how gorgeous he is on the stage, and I think like there's no need to cut away from this. It's fantastic. Like, we get it. Like, we don't need to see that. Directors are getting a little bit too much into directing, and the editor is getting a little bit into editing, rather than just telling the story and letting the moments be.
We're caught in a trap.
It's an appropriate song. I'm caught in a trap. Okay, yeah. So he passes up $1 million a night for $1 million a year? Huh? Like, what the hell kind of business is that? And I'm sure he's got power of attorney to sign anything for him too. Like,
Colonel, your sideshow is the...
Your sideshow. God. Unlimited line of credit? God damn. It's so funny too, because you see so many artists these days like coming out with stories about how they got screwed and like the business end of it. So I look at like, what happened to Taylor Swift, what happened to the Dixie Chicks, what happened to even the Beatles lost the rights to their music, the Beach Boys lost the rights to their music. It's like, it's just a business part of it. So I look like the young kids like Billie Eilish, and I'm like, please, for the love of God, make sure that you keep the rights to your music and your business is in order too, because it's so wrong what happens to so many artists like this. Kiss 100 girls while your wife is watching. Every single one of them. So is he? I forgot about like trying to like. Is he singing?
I can't wait to show the world what you and I can do.
Yeah, we saw that. We get it.
Elvis Presley.
He's very good looking.
Lived a girl that I swear to the world.
Okay, is he high here? Because his eyes look very.
Memphis. Elvis Presley has apparently checked into a private suite, suffering from exhaustion.
Okay, are we gonna talk about the drugs? Because that's clearly what this is.
And their lonely moments between shows, he turned to dim pills.
Yeah, I feel like the drugs probably started way, way before this.
Is this about what happens on the road?
The girls. You think I give a shit about the girls that you sneak into the...
Great hair on her. I love it.
Okay, if I stay, I'll never leave. You have to let me go. You have to let me go.
I think they could have built that progression a little more too. But I feel like we jumped from him kissing all the girls at the concert to just her leaving.
He won't allow it.
You are a man, Mr. Presley. And a man don't make up his own mind about matters of conscience.
When did this conversation happen? Like, why didn't we see this conversation? So the building of certain storylines is very weird.
You don't have a goddamn passport, you son of a bitch! You are fired!
Did this really happen on stage? Oh. A weird undertone thing. I thought my heat was running again.
The hayride, $1.25. Unrecouped promotional costs pertaining to
for the first trip of the Oh my God.
Trading cards, $100. Posters, flyers, and posters, $100.
He spent $100 on trading cards in 1955. Like, it's an enormous amount of money in 1955.
To get out of our contract.
You're goddamn right I want out.
Well, I will personally loan you the money that you owe to Jamboree Attraction.
Jesus.
We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity.
Don't buy it, dude. Follow the money. See where it goes. Where's all the money? It's interesting that it was that the Elvis letters were like burned into the sign even after they took them down.
Tell that son of a bitch. I want things to go back to the way they were.
Oh no, come on.
Tell Colonel to send up Dr. Nick.
Oh dear. And the dad's like, okay, sure. Like, such horrible people.
In entertainment news today, Elvis Presley is in talks to play opposite Barbra Streisand in a remake of A Star is Born. These days when he's...
Was he meant to be in that with her? Oh my gosh. Wait, how? Oh, there's only like 10 minutes left in this movie. That seems so weird. Okay. Did this show get nominated for costumes as well? Because the costumes are really great. Like, her outfits are really cool. Like, they feel very realistically 70s. Whereas, you know, his are very performer costumes. But I suppose there's a lot of extant material to work from, though, too.
I never made the classic film that I could be proud of.
What about A Star is Born?
It went to Chris Christopherson.
Barbara, the Colonel.
Yeah, they would never make that happen. They would never get along. I think they could have done more with his weight and with his face to make him look a bit worn out here. Like, he doesn't, I don't know that he looks particularly worn out. I mean, they're doing as well as they can with the makeup, but I think they could have pushed the envelope on that a little bit more.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a heart attack. If it was probably induced by all the drugs. They kind of soft-shoed the drugs, I think, a bit. They could have...
Them doctors say it was his heart. Others, the pills. Some say it was me.
Probably a combination of all three, but all right.
It was love. His love for you.
Yeah, right. Why would... What a strange...
Oh, my love.
See, like, here they've made him really... He looks pretty messed up here. I mean...
Only rivers cry. Wait for me. Wait for me.
So is this like a shot-by-shot recreation of some... So I have to look at, like, what's actual footage and what is recreated footage.
Little baby child is born in the ghetto.
He's a citizen of no country. Yeah.
I saw things through his eyes, or stood and watched with helpless hands.
See, and why didn't we get this song, like, is so closely tied with him? Like, what? Again, what we're missing is just, like, how he came to write so many of these songs, or find so many of these songs, and have a connection with them, even if somebody else wrote them. I did not like how that story was constructed at all. The whole, like, they tried to making it like two men on these parallel journeys or something, but that it just seems really overwrought and overused for dramatic effect, and like done in a way that just isn't an effective story. If it made the story better or more interesting, I would not fault Baz Luhrmann for it, but it doesn't work for the most part. The parts that do work is when it's just Austen Butler on screen being Elvis, or performing as Elvis, or his scenes with his parents, or Priscilla even. Like, those moments are bright spots in an otherwise hideously overproduced and wrongly focused film. What really happened at the Hayride performance is that there were two performances. He was so nervous during the first one that the audience didn't know what to make of him. Sam Phillips, the head of Sun Records, who is a legendary music producer, like very, very important in the music industry, it gave him a pep talk. When he went back out for the second performance, Elvis, like, brought the house down. That's a great story and could have made a great intro to Elvis as a character. Like, why would you focus on Colonel Parker instead of that? And before Elvis was ever on the Hayride show, he was already on the Grand Ole Opry and did really, really badly. The audience didn't know what to make of him. That's such an interesting detail that they could have played with. Like, You don't just show up at the Grand Ole Opry and they put you on stage. How the hell did he get to be on the Grand Ole Opry to flounder around in the first place? Why would you spend so much time on the Colonel to introduce all the story instead of showing Elvis failing at what if should have been a big break for him? It's just, yeah, ugh. And the whole thing with the Christmas special didn't happen that dramatically at all either. The Colonel knew Elvis was going to sing that song at least a week ahead of time. And I feel like it cheapens Elvis's relationship with what was happening in American society at that time and his place in it and his power to maybe affect things or at least respond to it and help other people respond to it. Like, what really happened was dramatic enough. Like, those moments they didn't need to be tarted up like that for dramatic effect, and it feels emotionally manipulative and really reductive in this case. So I mentioned all of that to say Elvis as a man as a character in this story feels very infantilized in this movie. Like, so much of his life and downfall in the story feels pushed and controlled by other people, when he had much more agency over his career, especially in the beginning. And he wasn't always a good guy, you know? He started using drugs way before it's depicted in the film. He introduced Priscilla to drugs when she was 14. That's right after when they first met, and basically groomed her. It's very creepy how their relationship started. He was often insanely jealous. He had a vicious temper. He almost OD'd several times in the year before he died. Like, he was basically, like, his life was saved by his girlfriend at the time many times. Like, I don't know why the movie shows so little of who he actually was on the bad side, but also it's like it misses who he was on the good side of, like, his artistry and developing his sound. And it feels weird that this movie doesn't cover any of the relationships he had with the people who wrote his songs, how he chose his songs and how they were performed and, like, the development of his sound. I mean, that's what he's most known for, is performing, and the development of the performances, the costumes, how all that was worked out. Like, then none of that is included here. So enough about that stuff, though. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the missteps in this movie, but can I just say, Austen Butler is really, really good. Like, he definitely deserves his Oscar nomination here. It's when he's on screen and performing as Elvis, that's especially when the movie really shines. It's not easy to do without looking ridiculous, especially in those outfits, and there's like this physicality that is so extreme, but there's an embodiment of the performer and the showman here that really comes through. It really works. He clearly went 100% into this performance. And even in the more intimate moments, there's almost a brokenness and a neediness that comes through. It's very effective, and it explains his toxic relationships, especially with the Colonel and with his dad, and explains his drug dependency and how his life ended the way it did. I wish that I could see him as Elvis in a movie that was more focused on Elvis's inner life and art. He should have had more to work with here and should have been the focus. The overproduced filmmaking of this film distracts from the film. It distracts from the story, and it distracts from what is otherwise a really amazing lead performance. I will say, though, I look forward to seeing where Austen Butler's career goes from here, and that's my takeaway from this film. Honestly, that's all I'm getting out of this. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe, all that business. Check out my Patreon for exclusive content, but most importantly, click here to watch my next video. Thanks for watching with me.